Hello guys, welcome to my channel once more. Today, without wasting much time, we are going to be looking at the basis of web browsing. We want to see why is it that you are able to visit, you're able to go to Google and maybe you type the name of a website and you're able to retrieve or you're able to visit that website and browse securely and leave the internet. So for example, you come to the internet, you type a name of a website like LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com, and you press enter and automatically you get information like this one. What is the mechanism? What happens for you to get information like this? That is what we're going to be doing today. So without wasting much time, let us dive into it. Now we are going to be looking at two protocols that helps in that form of communication. For you to be able to retrieve or to get information over the web, there is a protocol which is used. When I say protocols, I am talking about a series of guidelines that are used for communication. Now, the guidelines or the communication protocols which helps us to communicate or to browse securely are called HTTP and HTTPS. Let us start by looking at the first one, which is HTTP. What is the meaning of HTTP? It stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So this is a protocol or a guideline or a rule that helps us to communicate over the internet. It means that this is a laptop, for example, here. You want to access a website like LinkedIn, which I initially typed here. And then you type the name of the website on your web browser, let's say linkedin.com. What happens is that your website, the website you want to access, has an IP address. An IP address refers to a unique identifiable number. It is like a phone number, but it is now being used by a website. So this IP address is found in a web server, meaning that there is a web server like this one with a series of IP addresses. Think of a web server like a phone book. In your phone book, there are numerous numbers. That is the same thing with a web server. But instead of having numbers, what it has is IP addresses of different websites. So what happens is that when you place a request that you want to visit LinkedIn.com or maybe Facebook.com, what happens is that the request is sent directly or immediately to the web server within minutes. And now the web server checks within its system to see if there is an IP address which corresponds to LinkedIn.com. And if truly there is an IP address that corresponds to LinkedIn.com, it then gives back the information to you. How then do you retrieve or get this information? There is a communication port. There is a port known as port 80, which enables you to get this information. Meaning that, or think of a port like a door, a communication door that enables the communication between your website, or the website you are trying to access, and the web server here, which is the internet phone book. So communication is done through this port 80. Now the problem with this hypertext transfer protocol and this port 80 is that the information that is being retrieved from the web server to the laptop here is always in readable format. It's always in plain text. When we say information is in plain text, what we mean is that that information can be read by anybody who places himself in the middle here. Meaning that, for example, if this information were your banking credentials, like your password, your account details, or if the information were maybe it was a company's top secret information, if an attacker places himself in the middle here, he's going to retrieve that information, which is supposed to be confidential, and then read that information. So, what do we do to stop this, or how do we securely communicate over the internet without being scared that attackers are going to retrieve our information? So instead of using HTTP, it is better to use HTTPS. What does HTTPS stands for? It stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. From the name, you know already what it does. So, how does it work and through which port? HTTPS works using port 443. I said a port is like a communication door that exists between the laptop here and the web server you are trying to access here. So, HTTPS now, what it does is that it works together with what we call SSL and TLS. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer, and TLS stands for Transfer Layer Secure or Transport Layer Secure. What does this do? What it does is that instead of sending information from the web server to the laptop in plain text, like in the case of hello here, which is readable, it instead scramble that information like in this format here. It instead convert the information from plain text to ciphertext. When it converts this information, it is called encryption, meaning that SSL and TLS encrypt information so that if the attacker were to place himself in the middle here and retrieve this information, he or she will not be able to read that information because it is no longer in plain text, but it is in cipher text. Another thing that SSL or TLS does is that it forms a communication tunnel here, to protect the information. Like it is like a guard protecting information, so much so that the information is going to be able to move from here to where you are without being intercepted by an attacker. So that is how we can securely browse over the internet. The question now is, how do we know that a website is secured? How do we know that we are dealing with HTTPS instead of HTTP? It is simple. You should always check here. If you check here, you always see a padlock here. But in this case, you can't see it. Now that you can see it here, what do? You come up here. If you click here, you see the padlock is here. It shows that communication is secured. The connection is secured, meaning that the website is secured and you can securely browse. You can securely send your banking credentials. You can securely maybe transport your organization's information without much fear. Another thing that Google has been doing recently is that any website that is being inscribed with HTTP is always being flagged from the Google platform. That is why, by default, whenever we visit a website, we always get but HTTPS instead of HTTP. So that is just the information about web browsing, how to securely browse over the internet, and that is the secret, or that is what happens for us to be able to communicate over the internet. Thank you for watching the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this.